On the outskirts of the small town of Ravenwood stood the old Ravenwood Asylum, a place of grim history and dark secrets. The asylum had been abandoned for decades, its windows boarded up and its walls covered in ivy and graffiti. Locals spoke in hushed tones about the place, claiming it was cursed and haunted by a malevolent spirit known as the Wailing Nurse. One stormy night, Anna, a journalist with a fascination for the paranormal, decided to investigate Ravenwood Asylum. Equipped with just her notebook and pen, she approached the asylum as lightning cracked across the sky and thunder rumbled in the distance. As Anna stepped through the rusted gates, the air grew colder and an unnatural silence settled over her. The faint light from her phone cast long, flickering shadows on the crumbling walls, revealing faded medical posters and abandoned equipment covered in dust and cobwebs. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the creaking of the old building and the distant sound of rain. Determined, Anna ventured deeper into the asylum, her footsteps echoing through the vast, empty corridors. She entered the main hall, where once bustling activity now lay dormant. As she raised her phone's light to get a better view, she heard it, a faint, sorrowful wail that seemed to come from the darkness beyond. Her curiosity piqued, Anna followed the sound, her pulse quickening. The wail grew louder, leading her to a set of double doors marked Operating Theatre. She hesitated for a moment, then pushed the doors open, the cold air growing even more frigid as she stepped inside. The operating room was a haunting sight, filled with rusty surgical tools and gurneys covered in dusty white sheets. As she explored, Anna noticed a strange glow emanating from a large, cracked mirror on the far wall. She approached cautiously, peering into the reflective surface. The glow came from within the mirror, casting an eerie light on the walls. Anna's breath caught in her throat as she saw ghostly figures materialize within the mirror, their forms translucent and flickering like candle flames. They were the spectral remnants of the asylum's past patients, their faces twisted in agony and despair. The soft wails she had heard were now a cacophony of ghostly cries and mournful screams. Before she could react, the mirror began to vibrate, its surface rippling like water. The ghostly figures turned their hollow eyes towards Anna, their expressions shifting to eerie, welcoming smiles. One of the spirits, a nurse with a pale face and hollow eyes, stepped forward, her voice a chilling echo. "Welcome, dear one," the spirit intoned. "We are bound to this place, forever embraced by the Wailing Nurse. Join us and find your place among the shadows." The ghostly figures surged forward, their icy hands reaching out to embrace Anna. She was paralyzed with fear, unable to move as the spirits quickly surrounded her, their touch seeping into her skin, filling her with an unbearable cold that seemed to freeze her very soul. The Wailing Nurse's face emerged from the mirror, a dark, twisted visage with eyes like burning coals and a mouth contorted into a menacing smile. The sheer intensity of the Wailing Nurse's malevolence was palpable, a seething darkness that reached out and consumed Anna, pulling her into the mirror. Anna awoke later in a hospital bed, disoriented and weak. Everything seemed normal. The doctors and nurses assured her she was safe. She remembered the asylum but convinced herself it must have been a nightmare brought on by the storm and stress. As she tried to shake off the unease, she glanced at the mirror in her room. Her reflection looked back at her, but it was not her own face she saw. Instead, the visage of the Wailing Nurse stared back at her, hollow eyes burning with an intense, vengeful fire, her mouth twisted into a sinister smile as realization dawned. Anna had become the Wailing Nurse, bound to continue the cycle of terror. Now it was her turn to find another prey, to lure another soul into the depths of Ravenwood Asylum, just as she had been lured. The hospital room grew colder as Anna's new reality settled in, and a faint, sorrowful wail began to echo from the mirror, marking the beginning of her eternal torment and the hunt for her next victim.